Hello, my name's John Macero. I'm the superintendent of Winthrop Public Schools. I'm excited today because alongside me, I have George Metzger, and on my other side, Tina Stanislavski. George and Tina are our HMFH designers of our new school building project. If you will recall, 2 months ago I was here and we did a show where we were able to show you the progress of how the new Winthrop High School middle school project was coming along. Today we're going to show you the progress once again. This past Tuesday, along with Mike Cabral from WCAT, we were able to do a tour of the new Winthrop High School middle school project. And we can see now the progress that we have done in the last 2 months. As you know, the project started 2 years ago. We are in our anniversary this November of the town council coming together and the town community of overwhelmingly supporting this project of a 65% to 35%. And the goal of this project 2 years ago was to have this project be completed by June of 2016. I'm happy to report to you at this time that we are still on target, on time, and on budget. I like to give a lot of credit to our school building assistance committee, especially our construction subcommittee under David Gerard, David Dockendorf, our chair people of the school building committee, Mary Lou Osborne, David Dockendorf, and all the members who worked very hard to make this project work. I know that you guys have been working with us now. We've talked about how the construction's been going on for 2 years, but you guys have been with us for almost 3 years, correct? Or a little more than 3 years?
I think it's 3.5 years now.
Right, because originally this project began when I came on board back in 2011. We had already been going through the project, and everybody knows that we put a pause on it, and then we created a feasibility study for the middle high school, and here we are 3.5 years later, but we see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, there's no question about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll the footage, and we're going to talk about it. And as we talk about it, I'd like you guys to kind of come up. We'll talk about what that part of the building is, but feel free to add why. Now we're going to get the designer's perspective, because at the last meeting we had Gilbane here, Walt. And Walt talked about how he's working on the construction and making sure things happen. But I think it'd be a good perspective to have you guys tell us why the concepts, around the building itself. So whenever you're ready to run the footage, we'll be ready to talk about it. Okay, so here we are. If that's actually us walking there, and Mike Cabral's behind us. But let's talk about this. This is Main Street, where multiple folks aren't able to come down this road now because we have it blocked off until December. So why don't we talk about what we're seeing here?
So you're seeing that pop out in front of you. That's actually the entrance to the high school. The shape that's making that pop out is the Black Box Theater. So the building's designed to accentuate the important parts of the program for Winthrop High School and middle school.
Right, and you see all that glass there, that's the music room. That's the high school music room.
Right.
It also might be important for people to understand that the building, as we're looking at it right here, really sits almost exactly where the old building sat on Main Street.
Right. You know what I hear from people all the time is, wow, the place is enormous. And then I try to remind everybody that it's also a middle high school.
It's 2 schools now, and instead of just one in that same spot, that same footprint.
If you'll see right down there, they're actually getting the sign prepared there where it's going to say Winthrop High School. We're excited. That's the outside of the black box. The black box is a 2-story classroom for our drama students and performing arts center. where students will be able to create a space that will be efficient for the show, be perfect for that environment.
It's sort of a smaller venue than the auditorium for performances.
Right.
But in part because we have both a middle and a high school here, we were able to use an allowance of some square footage to create both an auditorium and a black box theater.
Correct. And that right there is we're looking at the stairwell, I believe that's going up there with the windows.
Yep, that's popping up behind there. Yep, that's the main stair for the high school kids. And next to it on the left-hand side, that glass, that looks into the cafeteria for the high school.
That's right. So when you walk into the high school entrance, you have your administration wing on your right,
Yep.
and then you'll have the cafeteria straight ahead.
On your left.
Right. What was the purpose of that type of design on that?
That space doubles as a lobby space for the theater and for the gym. So we're not building additional space for lobby. We're having a multi-purpose space that can serve both functions.
Great. George, you want to talk about what that is, what we just saw? It was the wraparound of the auditorium.
Well, that's the back of the seating area of the auditorium. Mm-hmm. The auditorium occupies the corner of the building, and that is the top entrance to the auditorium from the second floor.
Right. Right. Now we're all walking into the entrance of the Winthrop Middle School section of the building. As you can see, that was the accessible ramps that they've put in there, and we've kind of entered into the Winthrop Middle School side, and all of that particular area there, I believe, is the offices, the
It's
administration.
The admin.
Right.
So it's got an underfloor heating and cooling system. That's what you're seeing sticking up over there.
And the committee was very clear, as was John and the administration from the very beginning, that when we combined the two schools, we really needed to keep a strong sense of separation between the middle school and the high school students. So
Right.
we do have two entrances and we do have two administrative suites.
The space that we just saw, that was the Viking Longship space that's being built, and now we're walking into the auditorium space, and I think we're actually all standing on the stage
Looking up at
itself.
Fly.
Right, looking up at Fly Space. There's a whole catwalk that you will be able to see, and that whole area up on the top there, you will actually be able to walk on that to
There'll be a grate put in
fix
there.
features, and it's going to be a great technical space for our students who really enjoy the tech. And there's the catwalk that goes all the way around. I mean, obviously the theater's a long way from being done, but I was just so excited to stand in that space. It's such a great space.
And we're hoping that it's not just a great space for the school, but a great community use space as well.
Exactly, which it will be. One of the things that I think we were talking when we were going through that, George, was that the stage itself is on the same level. So when students who come in who are in wheelchairs, they don't have to have a ramp to come right in
Right.
onto the auditorium. They just are able to come right in to the auditorium and be at that level, which is wonderful.
Right.
So it's very accessible for everyone.
There's accessible seating at every level too, so they'll be able to experience the theater from all the different levels.
Right. That's a shot that's up in the lighting booth and the sound booth that's up in the back of the auditorium, and that looks directly right down onto the stage. So what'll be exciting as we progress each couple of times that we come in and see this, you'll start to see it. This time it's forming more than what we saw the last time. So we're having good conversation there. Let's see where we're at. Oh, I
think
believe
that's-
we're in the music room.
Maybe? Is that the back of the auditorium coming out?
Oh, that could be that, yes. Yes, I believe you're correct.
So we're looking out at Main Street.
Looking out at Main Street.
That's where Gilbane has all of their lay down space for all the materials for the building construction right now. That's one of the reasons why it's closed.
That's right, and that's going to have that over there. That will be closed in, that little railway there, or is that where
There's
you
going to
put?
be a pretty tall glass railing that's frosted glass, so you'll be able to look down into the cafeteria space that's below you, and there'll also be seating up there for additional high school dining areas, and the Viking Cafe will be up at that level.
Yes.
So that's part of that space that was behind the curved wall or adjacent to it that we were looking at from the outside.
Now we're in the main high school stair.
Okay.
This is adjacent to the entrance, so a lot of the kids will be using this stair to go up to their classrooms on the second and third floor.
Right, I believe we're walking up to the third floor now. And as I've noticed how the construction is working, the third floor is getting the predominant, and then it's going down to second floor and then the first floor. Because there's been quite a bit of painting that's been going on the third floor, as we'll see, I'm sure, as we continue to walk.
They're using a kind of construction called lean construction, where they're sort of sequencing their trades per floor, like John is talking about, to make things quicker and more efficient.
So I think we're getting a peek in here.
We're looking into the black box.
Black Box Theater, right, where I said before, it's a 2-floor theater, and you can see, there's the skylights.
I think we're looking.
And then where we're actually at, I believe, is
Actually, I think you're
We're
looking
looking down
down
to the
into the calf
cafeteria.
still,
Okay.
because we climbed up to the third floor.
Okay,
That'll be enclosed with a wall eventually. They just haven't finished that space yet.
there we go, and there's the hallway.
That's the hallway that separates the two schools. So this is sort of the flexible area where they might be able to, if there's a bubble in population one year, have classrooms for high school or have classrooms for middle school, dependent on, how many kids each school has at that time.
That was a peek in there. I just saw that was a
Black
peek
box.
in of the black box. And that's a peek in over to the gymnasium. You can see now on the far right, that wall is going to have
A giant Viking head.
a giant Viking head. As you see, look straight ahead there. Just imagine, if you will. It'd be a totally intimidating force on the visiting teams when they come in to play us. And that's I think we're walking into the music room. Right.
As we walk through the building and you see into many of the spaces, part of the design objective here was to make the building as open as possible to the people moving through it, so that students can see into the gym, they can see into the black box, they can see into the cafeteria space when they're moving from classroom to classroom.
Right, and there's a view from outside. When you look at the music room, which is on the third floor, the glass, that's the view from inside. And you can see out there. What was interesting is, I know that in your design, you wanted to not just make it a box. So you jutted out some certain areas. Can you just talk about that for a second?
So that the things that pop out on the exterior are programmed that are important to Winthrop. So on the front facade, at the high school entrance, you see the black box pop out and you see the music room expressed. As you come around onto Payson Street, you see the Viking Longship and the drama classroom expressed. On the back side of the building towards the fields, the library pops out, the media space, and then on the last side, there's the art room that pops out.
Right.
So everything that's important is expressed as a feature on the exterior also.
Right. That's a beautiful shot from the third floor classroom. That's a regular classroom that he was just in, and took a nice shot on that. Now, look at the tile work that's already being completed on the third floor. And there's multiple colors.
Yeah.
And I know you guys love to talk about colors, because of course we always look at just blue and gold, but you guys convince us that we have to show different types of colors, so you can talk about those if you
So
like.
each of those classroom entrances, the pair of doors, shares a color. And like the green tile that you saw on the outside of the corridor would also be repeated on the inside of the classroom. So you know that, I have, my next class is in the green, classroom. So it sort of helps you with wayfinding within the building. So you can see the green paint. That's the inside of that classroom that we just walked into. You'll also notice that there's a window that goes out to the corridor. And we found that those have been really instrumental in collaboration for both students and for teachers in some of the newer schools that we've been building.
Now, this particular room that we just walked in is one of the new science labs. It's 1,440 square feet. We have 6 of them built at the high school level. And right in here that you see me walking in, that's the science prep room. And I believe there's 3 prep rooms for the high school, 1 or 4, I forget, because there's 1 for each science lab on both floors, and then 1
Two
for
of them
2.
share
Right.
a large one, and then one of them gets its own because it's in the corner.
Now you see that little area, that cutout area, that's where we're going to have our Clear Touch interactive boards that are going to be placed in all the classrooms. And I believe 70-inch screens.
70-inch flat screen monitors, touch
Right.
screen.
And so this is another science lab, and just the size. And what was great is that was a cloudy day. And look at the lights that's coming in.
And there's only one artificial light on in that space right now, and basically the light reaches almost the back of that very large classroom. So the lighting use in the building is going to be extremely low most days. And the lights have automatic dimmers, so they're smart and they recognize how much daylight's coming into the space, and they automatically dim the lights down.
So we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that all the classrooms have adequate natural lighting. You mentioned color. We use the color for two things, really. One, it's part of the orientation through the building, so you have a sense of where you are. But it also creates a certain amount of energy in all the teaching spaces, and we feel strongly that color helps reflect the energy of learning and discovery that goes on in these rooms.
Let's talk about this right here. This is
So
one of your designs that you've put together with.
this is one of the light wells. It's a round space that cuts down through all 3 floors of the building, and it brings natural light through to the learning commons. So each school has learning common areas where kids can go out and collaborate together in small groups, or 2 classrooms worth of kids can go out and do group projects together. So in the high school, at the bottom of the light well that you're seeing right now is a big resource lab. So that's going to be a large multi-purpose space, just to be used by whoever needs that type of space in the building. On the middle school side, at the bottom is the middle school cafeteria. So that's a way of getting light down to spaces that are sort of internal to the building.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those spaces creates a sense of place, one in the high school and one in the middle school. And Tina also mentioned learning commons. A part of what this school does is it takes certain aspects of what is traditionally a library and disperses it through the teaching areas, so that some of the resources that are often centralized in a library are decentralized and more accessible to teachers and students throughout the school.
Now this is one of those spaces that jets out. This is the art room at the high school level. It's also 2 rooms, but it could be divided into, it could be opened up as 1 room or 2. Mm-hmm. But it is just absolutely beautiful space. You can see it's ocean. There's the ocean right there. Many folks who walk through it, I know that Dick Lawton, who's doing tremendous work, meets every Tuesday morning with the construction group. Dick's, that's his favorite room. He's not shy to tell us all that. But here's again the cone.
It's the
that you're
outside
talking
of that
about.
light well, and so there'll be a countertop that runs around that for kids to work at, and there'll be lots of plugs for them to come in and charge their laptops or their iPads.
Mm-hmm. Now in here, I'm not sure where we're at in this particular spot. Could be an interior classroom or the hallway.
Is it part of the TV studio?
Oh, maybe that's where we're at. Yeah, we'll be able to see. That's the classroom leading into the.
Mm-hmm.
So the TV studio is going to have its classroom, and then yes, now we're going to walk down, and right to our right is the camera room, control room. I mean, outstanding. And the beauty that we're working on right now is that we're working with the fiber cables so that we can connect WCAT to Winthrop High School. I mean, that's important for us to have that partnership. And so you can see that room is coming along very nicely. Now you see all
see the tile finishes
Yes.
that we use, and primarily in the circulation areas to make the walls more resistant to just the activities that go on in a high school and bustling teenagers. But it's also a highly maintainable finish, and it's also another way we can bring color and lightness into the inside of the school.
In that shot, you're looking down into the library space. So the 3rd floor connects in with a little project area there to the library.
And that large window then overlooks the playing fields behind the school.
Mm.
Now you're walking into the middle school wing
That's correct.
from the team room that's above the library.
So we talked about the middle school and the high school having distinct zones within the school. The library is one of those areas where the upper grade kids and the lower grade kids, in fact, where that comes together.
So I think that's where we've now walked into the middle school, and there's the stairwell down by that. And now we're going to continue a little more.
Those are the learning commons for
Right.
the
Can you
middle
talk
school.
a little about the learning commons and why we have built those?
So the learning commons are places for students to collaborate and work on group projects. When we talked with the teachers in the middle school, they talked about needing spaces where they could do multi-day projects. So they would go out and work on a science project, say, and then they could leave it in that project space, go back into their classrooms and come back and finish working on it. Sort
Right.
of acts as like a display case too for whatever, special thing they're working on.
And those common areas and team areas can take up to 2 classes at
Correct.
once in it. So right now, we're in a classroom and we're looking outside, but we could go from that classroom right across into that open team space,
Correct.
as that they will show.
Now, the middle school has all of their classroom space on the upper floors. That's a little different than the high school. The high school has classrooms on all 3 floors. Middle school program is primarily on floors 2 and 3.
There's the Veterans Field, baseball field.
It's a great place to watch the baseball game.
I think so. We should sell some hot tickets right there,
I
huh,
know.
for the games. So now we're going to go back out, and you can see different colors. Right here, we've got the blue. And then as we go out the door,
There's Dick.
yeah, Dick Lawton. And so that's the common areas that you're talking about.
More project space.
Right. Great, great, great space. And I believe this is now the cone over at the middle school side.
Correct. So again, it's in that common space on the upper floors, and at the bottom of that light wall is the cafeteria for the middle school kids. So each cafeteria has its own distinct sort of language. They look very different from each other because even though there's, the 2 schools are in one building, they're still separate schools and they want to have their own separate identities.
Right, but the beauty, what we did, because we have a middle and high school, is you folks designed a kitchen so that we only needed one kitchen, and on either ends of the kitchen,
They're serving.
the serving areas. One for the middle school, and one for the high school. And those are all going to have windows in them?
Correct, that'll all have glass.
Wow.
Because you wouldn't want, the cafeteria is a more noisy space, so
Right.
that's all going to be acoustically separate from those upper sort of project areas.
And we were looking right down at the caf at that moment,
Correct.
that last moment. So now we're in a classroom.
I think there's a few classrooms internally that have some nice skylights on that upper floor.
That is a gentleman from Skanska.
He's the clerk of the works.
Right.
So on the left is the vertical space that Tina was referring to, which in both schools has a large skylight at the top to bring natural light down into the center of the space.
Yeah, I was amazed at how much light was coming through that space. It's great. And this stairwell is over by,
It's part of the middle school. It's the main.
that's right, they're working on that
The
stairwell
main stair
right now.
for the middle school.
Right. But, and you designed the stairwell a little different for the middle school students as opposed to the high school students.
The middle school stair is sort of internal, and it's got sort of nice glass that goes all the way down it, so you can see the kids going up and down, kind of internally.
Yeah, from an administrative perspective, being able to walk through your building and having those windows there's a window that you can see into each classroom, it's wonderful because you can always see what's happening, throughout your building. It's not like there's a door shut and you don't know what's going on there. So that really, and that also brings light into the classroom, and it gives it a very good open feel. Now, I know we're going down the stairwell that's back out by the Main Street entrance. If I'm correct on that.
Yep.
We will have 2 elevators
Two
in the
elevators.
building. The elevators currently have been put in the building.
Yep.
So there'll be one on both sides of the middle school side and the high school side.
Right.
This is so right down here, I'm probably pointing out that's the entranceway coming into the high school, right there. And then this is where all the administrative offices will be, the main office of the high school. And Now, when students come in, parent leaves something, or when they want to check in, because security is a huge, huge issue in today's world, what happens when they come walking in now? How do we have that designed?
So they come into a vestibule with both sets of doors locked. There'll be a teller's window that they'll be able to hand things like lunch money or lunch that was forgotten, books, right through to someone in the main office. They won't have to come into the school at all. If they are coming in for an appointment, they get buzzed through another set of doors.
Nice, nice.
So a lot of visual security
Now,
there.
we're walking into the gymnasium.
Yeah.
And right now, as you can see, the gymnasium has tons and tons of materials that they're using for the building, because it's a 12,000 square space. Yes. And the current space that we have, that we're utilizing right now in the transitional space, I believe is under 7,000. And the Winthrop High School that we took out of here was about 7,000, maybe a little more than 7,000. So we've gained lots of square footage. And this is going to be divided into 3 sections?
3 sections, yeah.
3 sections. So what that means is that there can be 3 gym classes going on at once. And we know that currently we have 2 high school gym classes that are always going on at once, and a middle school gym classroom. So we wanted to make sure that the spaces were built so that 3 classes could go on at the same time.
And you also have a weight room and an alternate PE room that you'll be able to use for athletic space.
That is correct. And I believe we're taking a look at some of that space when we get them, because we're on the back side over here of the locker rooms and various
We're
areas.
walking back towards the middle school entrance. We're underneath the cone
Right.
in the middle school CAF right now.
That's right.
I think they were working on pouring foundations in the alt PE space, so we didn't get over there for this one. I have to make sure we get back.
Well, the way the building is being constructed is cross street over. I mean, the majority of the work on Cross Street gets completed before the work gets done over by Payson Street. That's the
Right.
way I've looked at it.
Right.
And now we're back over towards the Payson Street side.
Looking back towards the entrance to the middle school, back out there, I think.
Yeah. And that's where the cafeteria would be.
Right. We're
Right.
standing in the
We're
CAF.
standing in the middle school cafeteria.
That's looking out towards the field, so that's part of the cafeteria too.
Right. And I think right now we were taking a walk over to what would be
That's the administrative.
administrative space. Correct, for the middle school.
And the middle school entrance is directly ahead of us as we're walking that direction.
Right, so all of those little areas is all going to be a floor, and then do the divisions of the rooms.
The offices will get put in there.
So it'll be exciting the next time we come through again, which I'm planning to do it in January. I was going to try to do it in December, but I think January would be a better time. And then we'll be able to show that again, how we've progressed through that time frame. All of those pieces there, they're all part of, is that part of the HVAC system that they're putting out throughout the building?
The ductwork is starting to go, and you can see it's all insulated up there.
So they assembled a lot of these pieces, and they then put them together and hang them in the ceiling where they distribute.
Yeah.
So at this point, you can actually see finished work on one end of the building and
Right.
really rough early work on the other end. As you say, the contractor's moving from Cross Street toward Payson and from top to bottom in terms of finishing off the building.
I know we meet every Tuesday morning, construction, there's a construction meeting with Skanska, Gilbane, HMFH. Myself, Dick Lawton are there, the high school principal, and we review the progress each week. And each week we get one step closer to this project being completed. Now, this is the back of the building where we used to have the parking lot, and as you can see, this just recently was all tarred. They leveled it all, tarred it, and that's a ramp that's coming down from the
So we're looking at the cross street
Gymnasium
under
area.
the building, and on the left there was the art room sticking out, and on the straight ahead there is the library sticking
Right,
out.
right. Okay, well, so we gave you some great footage to see where we're at. As you know, that we went through it back in, I want to say August was our first time that we went through the building with some footage, and now here we are towards the end of October. I'd like to come back in January. Our goal is to bring the community up to talk about and show the progress that we've made. So we're looking at doing some more footage in January, March, May, and then of course at the completion of the
Grand
project
opening.
for June. Many people have asked me, are they going to do tours? Are we going to be able to come through it and all of that stuff? And the answer is yes. But the important thing that we have to do right now is complete the project. And so rest assured that the project is on time, it's on target, and it's on budget. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of all the great work that the committee is doing. And I hope you enjoyed our opportunity to show you the progress. I want to thank Tina and George for coming out and sharing their great designs. I think the community is going to be really impressed with the work and the design that they have done for our building for years to come. So thank you all. I'd like to wish all our students happy Halloween next week, and be safe. So have a great day.
Thank you.